the three kind of key themes, if I was thinking about whether it was a brand or an agency, anyone who's working with Amazon and other marketplaces, I think what I'd be thinking about as we go into next year, the three key things are kind of people, tools, and data strategy, right? So on the people side, it's basically rounding out the types of skill sets that you have within your team to kind of attack marketplaces and retail media, with a combination of people with creative, technology, data, and even kind of Amazon and retail experience. What we're seeing is we see a spectrum of different levels of expertise across the agencies and brands we work with, and let's just that spectrum is wide. And so I think on the people side, it's basically finding really smart, inquisitive people and retraining them into the Amazon marketplace, taking the people you have and finding new ways to build processes, and then kind of training your people in this new way of thinking, depending on kind of their background and where they came from. On the tools and technology sides, there's companies like Intentwise and a variety of others that are going to help you in a very kind of cost-efficient manner to increase your level of optimization capability, starting with strategy all the way going to optimization. And then last but not least, the data strategy is going to be really important because while it's going to become even easier in some respects to reach the consumer and use optimization techniques to really hit the person with the right message, right time, right offer, etc. The data is going to become overwhelming.
You are listening to Power Marketing with Kevin Lee. Kevin and his agency Did It have helped thousands of businesses win through superior marketing, as have his books, articles, speaking engagements, and the eMarketing Association Power Marketing podcasts. Here's Kevin.
Alan, thanks for joining me. For those folks who don't know what Intentwise does, why don't you give us the elevator pitch?
Yeah, sure thing, Kevin, and thanks for having me on. So Intentwise is an ad optimization and data analytics platform that helps brands, sellers, and agencies to optimize their media spend or advertising spend on Amazon, Walmart, and the variety of marketplaces that exist today. So it's kind of a key player in the retail media space.
Great. Well, when you and I first met, it was the early days of paid search. I may have even been pre-Google. We started with optimizing in GoTo.com, which became Overture when it went public, and then obviously got absorbed into Yahoo, became Yahoo's Panama. Along the way, obviously, Google decided to improve upon the original GoTo model with their hybrid auctions. And I remember in the early days of paid search, you could pretty much make a profit because the CPCs were so low. You could be a complete marketing idiot and still reap huge rewards in paid search. But of course, now you have to be quite sophisticated if you want to cherry pick out the highest ROI clicks, not only from an immediate ROI basis, but from a lifetime value basis. And I get the sense that that's really happening within Amazon as well. Like in the early days of Amazon sponsored listings and sponsored ads and all the various features you had available, you could go in there as an FBA seller. Sometimes, make things work where you were brand new with a product. And now it's just not so easy. Has that evolution resonated with you, that it's sort of gotten really hard out there?
Yeah, that's absolutely true, Kevin. In the last 6 to 9 months, we've seen the kind of the easy days of spending money on Amazon and other marketplaces are kind of over. And this is actually a natural evolution that we've seen across search, social, DSP buying. I think this has been true for at least the last 20 years in digital, where eyeballs or media consumption happens first, and then dollars, so to speak, follow behind. So usually when you catch a new platform or a new app where consumers are using it, and if you're one of the first advertisers there, it's typically easier days. But with Amazon, we've seen a variety of factors in the last 6 to 9 months change. Everything from the cost of the supply side, cost of shipping containers have gone up, although more recently, literally in the last couple of months, they've started to go down a bit. CPCs have risen. The number of supply demand, the number of people bidding on similar keywords has gone up. So, I think natural evolution. I think the good news is companies like ours and Amazon are making optimization tools that will help you better reach or refine your targeting of consumers, so to speak.
So in the Google paid placement and within PLAs or shopping feeds within Google, one of the primary areas of leverage that we would use for clients is conversion rate optimization. If you weren't doing really high in your game with conversion rate optimization, you couldn't afford the clicks to get the volume to build a business off of. And obviously, in the case of having your own Shopify store or being in another category and doing lead gen, you control a lot of the levers on the landing page with regards to conversion rate optimization. But what people may not be aware of is you actually have a fair amount of levers you can pull on CRO within Amazon. And can you talk about how that adds leverage to your ability to buy the slightly more expensive clicks within Amazon?
Yeah, there's actually like 8 or 9 levers within the Amazon ecosystem. Everything from price, price, badging, inventory levels, creative. There some of the levers are different. Some are advertising related and some are non-advertising related, which I think was what's unique between Amazon and the marketplaces versus your we'll call it traditional digital media channels such as search and social. I think the other thing that's different too is for the first time in quite some time, it's actually a lot easier to do a closed loop attribution model where you can get all the way to the point of sale without having to have a very sophisticated attribution model in mind. Yes, maybe you're not taking into consideration all of the touch points, but with Amazon, you get all the way to the point of sale, which makes it much easier to not only do conversion rate optimization, but look at things like, margin growth or going after market share, and a lot of the elements that you're dealing with. And again, as I mentioned before, Amazon, Walmart, and a variety of the other marketplaces are continuing to add tool sets, as are we, that enable you to get to that refined granularity on a keyword basis or a creative basis.
Great. So DTC brands and brands who sell on Amazon, perhaps because Amazon is they're even a vendor to Amazon, who have access to FBA. I think they often miss the fact that it's an SEO opportunity as well, right? Obviously, when it comes to the marketplaces, the Amazons, Walmarts, and eBays of the world, one thing that they have that some of these brands don't have is authority within Google. I know that's not an area that you guys necessarily assist with, but have you found that that's like an epiphany that some marketers get where they suddenly realize like, oh, wow, I get another bite at the apple in the Google search results page if I pay attention to what I do on my product pages in Amazon and in Walmart and in the other marketplaces?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I think one key point you're kind of touching on is kind of the evolving nature of for brands, how they actually go after that consumer and the different channels that they use. So, kind of in the early days of marketplaces or retail media, you have, as an example, on Amazon's website, they list 500 plus Amazon partners. There are definitely the holding companies there and some of the privately owned, digital media agencies. But the majority of them, 90+% of them, are pure play Amazon agencies that work on Amazon, Walmart, and marketplaces. But because of the point you just made, we're really starting to see an interesting dichotomy in the marketplace where many of these agencies are, if you're an Amazon pure play agency, you're deciding, do I want to stay pure play or do I want to move to a more full service, let's call it digital performance agency model, because clients are in some respects pushing me that way because, at the end of the day, brands, so to speak, don't care about, for lack of a better term, they don't care about Amazon, they don't care about Google, they don't care about Facebook. What they care about is omni-channel and getting the best results. So, on the flip side, you have agencies that were traditionally, hadn't traditionally had a retail media practice that are moving into that space so that they can touch, all the channels. I think, especially for agencies that weren't doing retail media buying, it's something that to reach that consumer where I don't know the exact stats, but I know it used to be like something like 5 out of 6 product searches started on on your mobile phone, and many of those were within Amazon's or another retail media environment. So you're really missing out if you're not touching that channel.
Yeah, I would agree. This part of what pushed us at did it to get into for our clients who have their own brands as opposed to the retailers who are purely competitive with Amazon to manage their Amazon media spend as well. One thing that's been really interesting to watch is the extent to which more recently Amazon, while they still own the customer relationship, which of course pisses off some of these brands, but they have no choice, is they have started to open up the ability for the brands to communicate a little bit more directly with the customer, right? While they don't own the customer relationship, they've started to, for lack of a better term, give them CRM-ish type tools when it comes to communicating with their customers and driving incremental sales. Have your clients found that to be a huge benefit for them?
Yeah, two things that Amazon has done more recently that allows a DTC brand to have a little bit more flexibility with Amazon are, first, Amazon now allows with their DSP for DTC brands to advertise within the Amazon platform, but then drive back to the DTC website and not having to complete the purchase on Amazon, which is new. The second thing is Amazon is making it easier for a DTC brand by allowing Amazon Prime members to ship via fulfillment on a DTC page. If you're an Amazon customer and you're on a DTC site and you want to buy a product, you can actually do the fulfillment through Amazon in a one-click buy situation, and it's a great experience. I've done it myself. So they've moved in the direction of trying to be more amicable with DTC brands, or probably the better way to describe it is giving the DTC brands flexibility to reach consumers wherever they are, and I think that's been a big win for Amazon in the last 6 months.
Yeah, I think there's also the ability to sort of proactively message customers, which is also a huge win. You had some ability before, but we've seen some changes in that ability to sort of proactively message customers with regards to promotions, as opposed to previously it was sort of support-based email more than anything. Putting email in quotes because obviously it goes out via the Amazon platform, but we've seen the ability to sort of proactively run promotional outbound messaging as well as being pretty powerful with Amazon. Are your clients using that as well?
Yeah, they're starting to. As an example, I think it was about a month and a half ago at an event called Amazon Accelerate in Seattle, which was their largest sellers event of the year. They made a number of new announcements, one of which was they're rolling out a quote unquote free email marketing tool that will allow DTC brands or customers who are using the Amazon platform, to more easily communicate with their customers. So, both at Amazon's Accelerate event, as well as an event that Amazon did in New York City a couple weeks ago called Amazon Unbox, which is one of their other larger events of the year. They probably rolled out 50 new betas and features and functions that were all geared towards for either a seller or a brand, so to speak, to have more tools available to reach consumers. So the other thing that Amazon's continuously doing is they're making more data available. Amazon Marketing Stream, which I believe was released 4 or 5 months ago, allows you to have real-time data. So that it used to be they were refreshing their data on a 24-month basis, and now they're doing it on an hourly basis. And that gives the advertisers more information for optimization. So yeah, Kevin, this comes as no surprise to you, and I don't want to compare Amazon to Google, but I think it's they're following along the paths of someone like a Google who over the course of years, just continuously brings new optimization tool sets into the marketplace. And for us, it's really important. We pride ourselves on having built a really strong data analytics infrastructure that can handle large volumes of data on behalf of kind of our agency and brand clients. And it's going to be really important, to be able to act quickly on that data, because optimization across media and creative optimization is becoming more key, as you mentioned earlier.
Great. One thing that's I guess you could say fun about the way one manages paid search or paid media in Amazon is obviously you've got your keyword centric mindset, which is all the keywords that are relevant to your particular product. But I think the competitive conquest stuff is much more obvious in Amazon versus in Google. I mean, in Google, it's sometimes hard to bid on a competitor's keyword because there are sometimes legal wrangling, even though Geico had a lawsuit where they were, it was upheld that you could potentially clamp down on keyword bidding in some cases. There are other situations where competitive conquest works within Google, but within Amazon, competitive conquest by having your ad available on other people's product pages via a sort of ASIN targeting it's fascinating to me because it's an entirely new targeting lever that one has that one wouldn't really have at the same level of scale in Google. How prevalent is that? I mean, we found it to be particularly powerful for our clients. In general, is that something that sort of floats to the top you find for your clients as well?
Yeah, it's absolutely, depending on what the client's goals and objectives are, it's absolutely one of the kind of the key initiatives our clients are taking on. I think, kind of related to your question, I think that one of the most interesting things we find either for a brand that's newer to Amazon or even kind of in the, let's call it the intermediate stages of, starting to scale their presence on Amazon is we'll show them their shelf space, so to speak, on Amazon. And we have actually a particular report that shows, kind of, for any one keyword, so to speak, what are the top 15 or 20 competitors for that keyword, and inevitably it is 90% different than what you'd see in a storefront or another non-Amazon environment. And I think it was I'm actually to your point, I think I'm newer to the retail media environment. I've been in the space now for about a year, and that shocked me too. So when from a conquesting standpoint, it's you're really conquesting on the keyword level across a number of competitors that you don't see anywhere else. So which makes it fun. And actually, for a company like Did It or ourselves, it's really something that's unique that we can bring to the table to help brands and agencies on behalf of brands to kind of grow market share.
One thing I've noticed a huge difference between when you sort of arbitrarily move up the breadcrumb and you end up looking at a particular corporate store page within Amazon is the differences between the nicely laid out ones and the ones where it was an afterthought. How important is it to put that extra work into your sort of store page, your brand page on Amazon in comparison to the product level pages?
Well, isn't this also another, like we've been here before with every new channel? I feel like creative and user experience are always the last to be looked at. I think we've been using the word creative optimization in the media world for about 20 years now, and there's no silver bullet here. But you're right, like both, of all the optimization levers we were talking about before, both user experience and creative optimization seem to be coming into favor now for good reason, because it's your first touch point and experience with a brand, especially within Amazon, and that is a very much a lever you can use to increase the propensity to get a consumer to buy your product.
Great, you guys. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, but I was saying, but I think the good news is that, or the bad news had been, I don't think the tool sets were necessarily the best up until 6 to 9, 12 months ago. And I also think building user experiences isn't always an easy or a cheap endeavor. But I think some of the tools and technology out of the marketplace related to creative optimization are getting much better. And I also just think there are now people who are there's on a supply and demand side, there's a number of people now who focus on this as their expertise. So I think the supply side of helps is catching up.
Great. You guys have a white paper you guys released fairly recently, sort of an Amazon data strategy white paper. And, data informs media buying across the ecosystem. And there's different levels of data available within Amazon compared to sort of in the open web. So I'd love to hear some of the top key findings from that white paper. If you can share those, obviously for the entire white paper, people will have to go to your website and dig and request it. But what was some interesting key points out of the white paper that you'd like to share?
Yeah, sure. And as you mentioned, the first thing, people can go to intentwise.com. Our white paper is on the website. You can download it. But I think first and foremost, you mentioned Amazon is not one data API stream. Amazon there's multiple APIs across the variety of products that Amazon has. And if you are trying to, even with Amazon alone, forget about the other marketplaces, just sticking with Amazon alone, the typical, we'll call the person the Amazon practitioner, he or she spends, a few hours maybe every day kind of bringing those data sets together. First, kind of standardizing and normalizing the data set, organizing it, and then, building reports or analytical capabilities that help you answer business questions. So for example, if you have an ASIN or a SKU, what is the ROAS, or what are the, kind of the metrics across all the different Amazon products, and, how should you be allocating your money across those products to sell more product? But then it gets even more complex when you talk about bringing your product to market across, Walmart, Criteo's various partners such as Target, et cetera, and all the other marketplace that exists. So, the ability to take that data and think about your data strategy that starts with, what's your business goal you're trying to achieve, or what's the question you're trying to achieve. But working backwards from there, kind of our data strategy white paper really kind of outlines in a simple scenario the foundational architecture you should be building as a brand to get ready for the multiple or plethora of new data sets that are going to be available to you to do these optimizations and to better understand the consumers. So, one way of thinking about it is, kind of using the term, whether it used to be called a DMP, or Amazon has Amazon Marketing Cloud now, which is allowing you to have a warehouse to store this data. But as you're storing it, it's one thing to store it, but it's another thing to normalize it. We've created what we call an e-commerce graph, which helps you normalize your data across channels and different retail media platforms, so that you can, you can, instead of spending your time crunching the data and normalizing the data and building reports, we kind of automate that whole process for you, and you spend your time doing the analysis to take action, so to speak. But we believe it's probably the most important thing a brand can be doing right now, because the good news is that more data is going to be made available to brands across all the retail media marketplaces, no different than Google did over the course of years. The not so good news is someone's going to have to figure out a way to take action on that data in a timely manner, and also to in a way in which you're going to help your brand. So that's what the white paper is about. It's a quick read. It's like a 5-minute read, and potentially the white paper brings up more questions than answers, which is a good thing, but it starts you down the path of thinking about your data strategy.
Great. Well, one area of data that certainly outside of the marketplaces, a lot of marketers spend a fair amount of time thinking about is LTV, right? Lifetime value of the customer, as opposed to just the immediate ROI or ROAS of a sale. And for a long time, people said, well, it's in a marketplace. I can't even think about that, right? But with the advent of subscribe and save, and with the advent of some better data tools, it is possible to sort of start to tease out LTV within the marketplaces as well. Have you guys developed any strategies or methodologies or within your technology to really make it easier for the marketers to understand the implications of LTV as it relates to how you're managing your spend?
Absolutely. And, first I'll go back to, a long time ago, I actually worked for an attribution company called Visual IQ. And this was one of the first kind of vehicles or products that we rolled out, where we used the example of a bank who might, be advertising on Google, within Google AdWords, the word free checking versus premium checking. And the word free checking might have been a 20-second click, and a premium checking account might have been a $1 click, so to speak. But we showed with kind of one of our early day clients that premium checking actually had a better lifetime value of a customer, because those customers had, larger bank accounts, stayed with the customer longer. And I think it was a very complex, even though it sounds like a simple exercise, it was a very complex data wrangling exercise. And but today with Amazon, because we get all the way to the point of purchase, and because of first party data, we do have products or let's call it reporting and analytics within our product that allows you to do that over the course of time. And so it really does help you make decisions about what type of keyword strategy you might want to take and what you might be willing to pay for keywords. It helps you decide how much kind of new customer acquisition you might want to focus on versus upselling and cross-selling existing customers and bring them down a path to become a kind of a larger customer of yours. So again, it's all the tools are available, but I think it's more the strategies and tactics, which start with your data strategy, are the real kind of essence of what we're seeing our customers trying to accomplish, especially this year and going into next year.
Great. So I'm going to ask you a question that's often results in fairly heated debate at brands, which is couponing and the ability, like obviously Amazon has the ability for the brand to, enable the checkbox couponing, right? Which it's prominent enough that certainly as a shopper, I notice it, right? You can, oddly enough, you can miss it, right? But it's there, and it's, for some shoppers, that extra psychological benefit of feeling like they got a coupon, feeling like they got a deal makes a huge difference. But some brands are just vehemently opposed to any discounting, any couponing at all. And then those who are in the middle, and those are the ones that have the internal tug of war, right? Does the couponing make a difference or not? If it's down to a tie, it's between our SKU and somebody else's nearly identical. Is that the tiebreaker? So do you guys have any data on whether or not those coupons can be the tiebreaker to result in a win?
Well, this is one I'm going to have to punt on, Kevin. I would get myself in trouble pretending to be an expert on this. I am not. What I will say is, we do have the tools that would enable you to measure, kind of a coupon versus a non-couponing environment. So the tools exist, and both in terms of going after new customers or trying to upsell an existing customer. Also in terms of lifetime value, which I think is the most important thing here, right? It's does couponing really work if you're going after kind of a lifetime value of a customer that's going to have a kind of a higher value to your company. And what I would say is I think it's couponing is the same scenarios you'd see in kind of store environment where it's a debate that's been going on forever. Some brands are interested in couponing and others aren't. But the tools are available to do that. But being a tool provider, I can say it's possible to do analysis on that. It's a little bit of a political answer, but that's where I'll leave it.
Right. Well, people can construct their own experiments, which is great, and I think as long as the tools exist to construct the experiments, that's the most important. In paid search, the experiment nearly everybody wants to do is the incrementality of brand bidding, right? So it's another experiment that the answer is typically the same, but it varies based on the competitive landscape, right? So the answer is not identical in every case, depending on the competitive landscape. So it's good to know that people can do those kinds of either longitudinal or A/B tests with regards to seeing whether it makes a difference or not, and that makes a difference in the types of customers that you receive. And this
Kevin,
may also
to your last point, incrementality is absolutely is a word I hear every day, and we absolutely have the ability to do incrementality testing across a variety of different means. It is within the next month or two, we're going to roll out a few incrementality oriented products. Right now, it's part product, part solution, but that's in our roadmap for the next month or two. And the reason it's kind of top of mind in our roadmap is literally we hear it every day. That's what people want. That's kind of for more sophisticated brands and marketers, that's where they're at.
Absolutely. One other fun topic of conversation among the more sophisticated marketers that are big enough to make product packaging changes is the best use of the QR code on the packaging. And Amazon has pretty strict guidelines with regards to where you can send that person if they scan the QR code. And so part of the debate is whether you send them to a how to use the product properly page, which you can certainly do. Do you send them into like a link tree to all the socials, where from there they can choose which socials to follow? Or do you come up with do you sort of push the envelope a little bit, right? And land them somewhere where maybe they could learn a little bit more about the company itself and the brand itself than Amazon would prefer, but you're still within guidelines. Have you gotten any anecdotal evidence across from your customers about sort of where that line is with regards to using packaging to sort of drive a little bit tighter of a customer relationship?
Yeah, on that one, Kevin, I don't have a good answer for that one. As far as I know, we have not tested that, but or at least I just haven't seen that. It's not something that comes up as top of mind, and maybe it's because of the kind of the optimization techniques we were focused on the media side.
Right.
One way I would answer that is we still see for both for both brands and agencies, that seems like a more sophisticated technique where I think people are still laying the foundation for, kind of moving towards a model of something that's more advanced like that, where I think there's still a lot of other low-hanging fruit that could be worked on. But I personally haven't seen that.
Great. Well, I'm going to continue to, test it out with the products that I buy, because when I get something from Amazon and it's got a QR code, I always check to see where it goes, right? And I like to see whether or not they broke the Amazon rule or whether they stayed within the guidelines. So it is something that for those of folks who are listening, you have to be careful there. So it is a powerful way to add value to your packaging, but you just have to be somewhat careful as to the level of call to action and exactly where you bring people. And Amazon's got their guidelines on their site, so you can certainly go ahead and read those. So any other tips for folks who are in their journeys of optimization? They've maybe got their vendor-based products out there if they're lucky enough that Amazon buys from them directly, or they've got their FBA products in there and they're looking to try to take advantage. This will probably be posted right around the Black Friday, Cyber Monday time period, although I've already seen the sales start. The early access Black Friday sales. So this is a mission critical time for a lot of retailers and brands, and taking full advantage of the marketplaces. So from a holistic perspective, if you've got your brand in multiple marketplaces, what are some tips and tricks you should think about for your Q4?
Yeah, Kevin, I think since we're so close to that time frame, what I'd like to kind of close out with is kind of the three kind of key themes. If I was thinking about whether it was a brand or an agency, anyone who's working with Amazon and other marketplaces, I think what I'd be thinking about as we go into next year, the three key things are kind of people, tools, and data strategy, right? So on the people side, it's basically rounding out the types of skill sets that you have within your team to kind of attack marketplaces and retail media, with a combination of people with creative, technology, data, and even kind of Amazon or retail experience. What we're seeing is we see a spectrum of different levels of expertise across the agencies and brands we work with, and let's just that spectrum is wide. And so I think on the people side is basically finding really smart, inquisitive people and retraining them into the Amazon marketplace, taking the people you have and finding new ways to build processes, and then kind of training your people in this new way of thinking depending on kind of their background and where they came from. On the tools and technology sides, there's companies like Intentwise and a variety of others that are going to help you in a very kind of cost-efficient manner to increase your level of optimization capability, starting with strategy all the way going to optimization. And then last but not least, the data strategy is going to be really important because while it's going to become even easier in some respects to reach the consumer and use optimization techniques to really hit the person with the right message, right time, right offer, etc. The data is going to become overwhelming, and so we see a number of new retail media players, which means new disparate data sets. We see Amazon, releasing new betas, that many of which are related to new data sets. They're releasing them almost on a monthly basis now. So, as a marketer, this is good news because complexity means that if you're smart about how you attack, take this three-pronged strategy to attack and become better. You can be a winner and win market share and win the hearts and minds of the consumer. But it's going to get more complex before it gets easier. Using what you described before, the Google environment. Today there are certainly plenty of people on the supply and demand side that know how to use Google AdWords, where there's still a kind of a shortage of experienced retail marketer practitioners. So the more you can train your people, use better tools, and have a strong data strategy, the better you're going to be coming into 2023.
Absolutely. And I look forward to watching your platform evolve as it gets more and more sophisticated as well. And not only measuring the incrementality, but giving that data to the marketers so that they can double down on the things that are working.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting year. I'm really looking forward to, we'll get through the holiday season, and then next year is going to be a big year in retail media.
Great. Thanks so much for joining me, Alan. It's a pleasure chatting.
Kevin, thanks for having me on.
Kevin Lee's Power Marketing is available on all your favorite podcast networks. Kevin loves helping businesses excel at marketing. Having marketing challenges? Just like Santa in The Miracle on 34th Street, if Kevin can't help you, he'll know someone who can. Find him on LinkedIn, subscribe, or follow.